Hi, friends. Look, it's Solar Eclipse 2017. Woo! I spent all morning driving around to all my children's schools and hanging out at the grocery store with my Starbucks friends, letting them look at it too.
She seriously bought, hey, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
I miss you.
I know, we should maybe go to lunch when this is over.
Yeah. So she seriously had those glasses. Get your glasses again.
No, right here.
She seriously had these glasses, and she bought like a whole stack of them, and she took them around and handed them out to people.
Construction workers,
School
Starbucks
people,
ladies,
Starbucks
school people.
Yeah, she was everybody's friends today.
I just felt like everyone should get to see it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people did see it actually.
I actually kind of have a headache because I looked at it without the glasses a couple times as I was trying to show everybody what to do.
It's true. I know. I kind of have a weird.
So happy Solar Eclipse Day!
2017. Where did you guys see it? Hey, Jordan. Where did you guys see it from? Any of our friends out there? Did you
Hi,
guys
cute
see
Jordan.
eclipse?
I have not seen you lately at the gym. We gotta coordinate better.
So today on live, besides talking about the eclipse, which we hope you all, my parents are actually in Oregon.
Oh,
Yeah, so they got a front row seat, which, interesting fact, Jen,
Did
you know?
Here we go. Did you know?
So the last total solar eclipse in the United States was in 1979.
I was 4.
Yep, I was
Probably not even born.
I was born actually,
No.
and my parents lived in Oregon because technically I was born in Oregon, but then we moved to Hawaii, and so my parents were in Oregon for that eclipse, and now they're in Oregon again. So they're 2 for 2.
Those lucky parents.
Yeah. So anyways, we hope you guys are somewhere really fun watching the eclipse. But if you're like us, home in Arizona, we only saw 70-ish%.
Still like it was enough.
Yeah, it was good. But so today on live, we have a bunch of questions that we've received. Here they are. And so we're actually just going to address those topics, and then we have one of our own right at the end.
Well, we want to talk about Barcelona. So that's our city of the day.
Yeah, Barcelona is our city of the day, but we're going to do that first or last?
I don't care. Whatever you want.
Well, I love to
Really
talk
not.
Barcelona, so maybe we'll
We'll
start
just
with that.
start with that. Start with Barcelona.
So some of you may know, if you've been following us on our feed this week, that I have a very soft spot in my heart for Spain. My husband lived in Spain for a couple of years before we were married. And so he really loves that country and those people. And then we also are so huge into soccer that
Barcelona.
Right, they're
hand
sort
in
of
hand.
synonymous
Yeah,
with one
they
another.
are.
And my son actually is a pretty talented little soccer player. He's only 11, but he did a camp, very driven. He still has a lot to learn, but he works really hard, and he did a camp and got invited from that camp to go to a camp in Barcelona for 10 days. So we're actually doing that in October. And so when all of the events of last week transpired in Barcelona, I actually got a lot of questions about, are you going to go? Is he still going to go? Are you scared? And yes, we're still going, and we are really excited to go, and our heart aches for those people, and we're definitely going to be there, and we're not scared.
I think that for me, this is a topic anyways, not just Barcelona, but fear, being fear-based. The way that I was raised, I think kind of promoted fear-based life. I love my family, but we were kind of a little bit scared of everything. And so that was a huge thing for me to break through when traveling, because I've been all over Asia, which is not really in my comfort zone. No, it's not familiar at all. I mean, the customs and everything are so far from what we're used to. But there was a day where I decided that you can't live your life based in fear. There's tragedy that happens everywhere, and your chances of it actually happening on a trip to Barcelona are so slim.
So small.
So we were talking about that earlier. Like when you're driving your car down the street, you're aware of your surroundings. You're looking for red lights. You're watching for someone who might run a red light. You're paying attention to where the cars are in their lanes. And I think that all of that applies when you're traveling. You have to be aware of your surroundings. You have to know what's going on around you. You can't be so, I would say get touristy, looking at all the sights that you're not actually paying attention to the people around you, the crowds around you.
For sure.
For sure. You have to be in that moment and present and aware. Not scared, but aware of what's going on.
Well, and I think that there's also a way to be prepared prior to leaving and while you're there that really will help you. And so I am a big believer in taking safeguards and planning and putting all of those strategies into place so that we can have a safe trip. But you can't protect against everything, and accidents will happen. And I think that's just part of life.
That's part of life. Accidents happen anywhere. And I think there's comfort in being prepared.
Yeah. So we do have a couple of strategies that will help you be prepared that I will use when we go to Barcelona and that we always use as we travel abroad.
Hearts. I love hearts. Thank you.
Love the hearts. Thanks, you guys. So one of the things that you can do when you travel, and we actually have all of this on our website.
We try to make it easy for you, and actually, I'm not going to lie, easy for us. So when we travel, we just go to our Get Prepared page, and there's a few things that you can do to get registered.
Yeah.
So what are they, Lalani?
So the first thing is you can register in the STEP program, which is a program
STEP.
It's a program run by the State Department that registers United States citizens or permanent residents with the embassies in the countries that you're going to.
Which is important. That way, if there's any travel alerts, things that you need to know, they know that you're there and they are definitely looking out for you and aware that they need to be, making sure that they're keeping track of you.
So when we were in Europe last summer, there was actually a few little shenanigans that happened surrounding mostly the Euro Cup. And we actually had registered at every country. We went to 10 countries, and we had registered in every country that we were going to be in. And several times we did get alerts from the embassies letting us know of different things like riots and situations that were happening. None of them happened in the cities that we were in while we were there. But it was really nice to know that we were connected to our embassy and to someone was looking out for us. Hi, friends. So that's the first thing.
I also usually follow all the embassies on Twitter when I'm out of town, and that way, as they're coming across my feed, if there's anything that they need to alert me of, it will also come through Twitter. It's amazing what social media can do for keeping you prepared and in the moment of exactly what's going on.
Well, and a lot of times you get that information first before, especially when you're in a foreign country, because you may not know the news outlets or the channels or speak the language. So Twitter and Facebook both have what's trending. And like Jen said, you have the embassy feed, but you also just have what's trending. So actually, when we were in Europe again last summer, there were some shenanigans at one of the World Cup matches. And I saw it all trending on Facebook before it started getting covered on the news. So I actually check both of those outlets a lot when I'm in a foreign country because they will give you sometimes more up-to-the-minute information.
Right.
So, yeah.
Pays to be smart.
Pays to be smart. Prepared. Pays to be safe. Don't be scared. And just, be aware. There's little things that we do that, we don't always do the most touristy things when we're in a city. We try to do things that maybe are a little more local or
I try to always, this sounds silly, but when I'm walking down, especially a crowded street, stay to the inside because unfortunately in this day and age, it seems that there seems to be a lot of vehicles that are swiping the crowds. And if you're on the inside of the crowd, it's a little bit less likely. So
just little strategies. Just think of things.
Just aware.
We also try to be in by certain hours. We don't stay out too late. We're careful about what sort of situations we put ourselves in. So.
Right. I was actually just reading because we're preparing to go to Thailand again, and it was like 40 people die a day in vehicle accidents and on scooters. And that is one thing. I'm not going to rent a bunch of GoPeds and put my teenagers on them because you're just asking for accidents to happen. So just being prepared. It may seem like it's a really fun touristy thing to do, but it may not necessarily.
Of a buzzkill not to be able to do some of these things, but sometimes a little
permanently disfigured. I'm not really interested in them.
So we like to have fun, but we also like to be smart.
Right. Be safe.
But yet still don't be scared.
And here's another side note. If you actually have a little bit of fear like me, you guys know my personality. It's a little crazy. I do take these things called Stress Care by Himalaya Company. It's a vitamin that helps your adrenal system, which processes all your stress hormones. And I swear I am a different person. Ask my children. I used to be a little bit crazier than I am, but I'm pretty mellow. And on days I'm going to fly, or if I feel like I might be in a large crowd where it's going to give me a little anxiety, I take 3 in the mornings on a daily basis, but I take 3 at night. And it just helps keep my system in check. It's not a prescription drug. It's just a vitamin, some herbs that are good for you. So Stress Care by Himalaya, I swear, life freaking changing.
Something else that you can do is make sure to leave copies of your itinerary with someone that you trust back home so that people know where to find you after you've registered for STEP. And also copy all of your important documents, because a lot of times passports or your driver's license might get stolen or misplaced or lost. And so if you have those copies, then it makes it so much easier
Snap
to get
a picture on your phone. And I do that too, of the location of the embassy, like the address of the embassy and any numbers that you need to know for that country. Just take a picture and keep it in your phone.
So just a few little strategies. So back to Barcelona. Barcelona is amazing. If anybody has been there, you know that it is beautiful.
I haven't been there yet.
Why?
I know, I don't know. Because I keep going to Asia.
You need to go to Spain.
We'll get there. I'll get there.
It's amazing. There's so many great things to do, and the food and the people and the atmosphere and just the whole vibe of the city. We love it so much. And soccer.
I know, the soccer.
We love the soccer.
I find myself, like, when soccer games are on, getting excited for Lalani. Because I'm like, oh, I'm ready for Lalani's soccer. In Cuba, I taped Cuba. They had soccer on the TVs.
There's soccer. But that's okay. Well, actually, it's comparatively.
I think I sent you that guy that's super famous getting the goal. Do you remember?
That was amazing. Yes, I do remember that. Thank you for that.
Go soccer.
So Barcelona, definitely visit. We love Barcelona.
What's your favorite thing there besides soccer?
I love actually wandering through the Gothic Quarter. So the Gothic Quarter is this little old part of town, and they have these tiny little narrow streets, and they're super old, and there's like all these little nooks and crannies and cool shops and yummy food, and it's just...
The great thing about Europe too is everything is so close together that when you go to Barcelona, how many other places did you go to?
We went to 10 countries.
So 10 countries in how many days?
20
days.
3,800 miles.
Yeah, it's impressive.
We're crazy.
Okay, we love Europe.
So the next question that we got is foreign transaction fees on credit cards.
This is actually high in my list of things I've been worried about right now, because as I've been booking Asia, my credit cards keep getting angry. And so I will be in the middle of trying to book an airline flight, and my card will shut down. And so then I'm grabbing a different card to try to pay for it. And as I was looking through my cards, realizing that I do have a few that charge a 3% transaction fee. So here you are spending all these time looking for deals. You do not want to pay a 3% transaction fee. So
well, and to be clear, like most of her flights there were easy to take care of because they're coming out of the U.S. But once the small little flights in between countries, a lot of times are on
Hong Kong
local
Express,
carriers.
Like little local
carriers.
And
so it's not like you're dealing with American Airlines or even like Lufthansa or British or any of those.
Even my travel card, my Aviator MasterCard, hated those flights. And so they were great though, because after I had booked a couple of them, they started sending me, I just had to put in an approval code every time I booked one, and then they were going through. But it was a little bit tricky until we got to that situation.
So we actually went through, and both of us have a couple of cards that don't have foreign transaction fees. And a lot of times there's travel-based credit cards, such as the Chase Sapphire card, or some of the Capital One cards. There's a Barclay card, a couple of Barclay cards.
That's who my Aviator MasterCard's through, and I actually really like it. No, that's bad. Please hold. I don't know. Okay, they're gone.
But so a lot of times you have these cards that are travel-based cards, and they're more mindful of the fact that there are foreign transaction fees.
Right.
And so they have taken care of that for you. So be really careful. We ran into this problem when we were trying to get tickets for the Euro last summer, because it was all an automated system, and so you had to put your card in, and then it rolled through and would just pick you to offer you tickets.
Right.
But oftentimes it was happening all via computer. And so it would happen and our card would decline the transaction, and then we would lose those tickets. So we finally had to go back through and do it manually, and it was like the biggest pain in the butt. So,
and that's also something, like if you're booking airline tickets through, or even hotels where you're prepaying on Travelocity, TripAdvisor, Expedia, Hotels.com, any of those, especially airlines, you need to make sure that you don't just get you booked your trip, but you need to get the email that says it's ticketed, because there's a difference between just booking it through Travelocity and then the airline's actually ticketing it. You need to make sure you get that second email, because if your card declines it, then you may think you have airline tickets and you actually don't.
That's a great tip. That's really
important.
important.
That's important.
So foreign transaction fees, if you're going to travel abroad a lot, make sure that you invest in a card that does not have those, because that is really important.
And alert your cards when you are traveling, because I do find that, like when we were in Montana, my card kept shutting down every few minutes because they're thinking, why is Jen from Arizona in Montana? And I should have called them before I went. Yeah. That way I wouldn't have run into that problem because they would have already known where I was.
That's true. That's a great tip as well.
So call them before you go.
So the final question that we got is one that we get a lot, which is traveling on points.
Traveling on points. Actually, I kind of suck at this.
This is the multi-million-dollar question, I feel like, that everybody wants to know how to do, because we all want to travel and do it for as economically as possible. So, we actually get, it's a tough one because there's a lot of different ways to do it, but I would suggest get a couple of cards for usually two.
We have two.
Usually an airline card, and then maybe like a hotel card or a general travel card, and just start accruing points. But be mindful of, hey guys, what those points, how you to maximize those the best. Right. So some cards, for example, you'll get triple points if you buy food or any travel related expenses. So that would be a great time to use those points or those cards. And then other times you can get a bigger bang for your buck on hotels versus airfare. So what we do is we have a couple of cards that we like to use. We use them for different things where we're going to maximize our points. And then we just build up point values on those cards. And then when we travel, that's how we do it.
We have a friend, and you know who you are, that has 1 million points. And I'm not really jealous of most anything. Like, I'm super happy when everyone has fun stuff. But I'm not going to lie, I covet his 1 million points.
We do have a friend.
You know who you are.
You do.
They've shared them with me once, but
you should use those points and come with us somewhere.
I know, somewhere fun.
So
I swear I'm going to get 1 million points. I don't really know how. I'm working at it.
Well, I can help you. I have an idea for you.
Don't worry. Lalani wants me to take her to Nordstrom.
That is a great idea. Actually, yeah.
Oh, sorry, Jared. It's all in the
interest of traveling, of accruing points.
We had to. See, that's a perfect shopping excuse, ladies. You had to. You needed the points.
Right. Yeah.
Genius.
So I think the first step is get a good travel card. Make sure that your interest rate is not through the roof and pay it off so you're not paying extra for your points. So don't run it up.
Yeah.
And then start using it and racking up those points, and then use them smartly. So we have been doing this for probably 15 years.
Listen up, friends. Listen to her smartly, because this is the key.
And it has really paid off well for traveling.
They plan. I don't really plan very good, but they plan. And so they book right when they can, which costs them less points.
It minimizes your point expenditures for sure.
And there's some, like I'm not at the level. My MasterCard, my Aviator one is a newer one. And so we still don't get like you can book 24 hours before and there's no fees, where my friend with 1 million points, he can book 10 minutes before the flight and have no extra fee. So it will cost me more miles than it costs him.
Right.
Usually about double.
Yes.
So that's
know the system that you're working within, because that is, it pays to kind of know the intricacies.
And that's why I feel it's good to have two cards, a hotel one and an airline one, because then you can really understand your card instead of having so many that you don't really get the program.
We actually have a hotel one, an airline one, and then a general travel one.
Right.
So we have 3. But we just got that general travel one. We didn't have that for a long time. But there
are benefits
to that.
Yeah. I have one that I've had since I was young, which has kind of cheesy hotels. And so I have a card, like, your monthly bills that just, like my gym membership just goes on this card. And I just let it sit on this card I don't ever use. But it keeps me with enough miles to use it in random locations like Montana that doesn't even have the Marriott's. We were able to use, it's a choice privileges card, and so it's great. So it just sits there. I don't use them very often, but when I want them, I can get a couple nights with a couple of rooms, and it's great.
Well, and it's also important to know what's worth it and what's not, because sometimes if you're paying $120 for a hotel, and I choose that number randomly, but there's a certain dollar amount that it might not be worth it to use those points.
Right.
And you might want to save those for when your hotel is its peak season, or you're traveling somewhere that's really in demand, and the hotel rates are, like, for example, if you were going to see the eclipse in Idaho and you love to stay at Courtyard Marriott's, well, normally that Courtyard Marriott might cost you $150, But today, that Courtyard Marriott probably costs you about $800. So today would have been a good day to use your points because you're maximizing your spending power, and your point value.
And sometimes you're going on a large trip and you're trying to cut costs wherever you can. And if you have hotel points or airlines points, if you can take that chunk of spending out, it helps.
Well, and that is a great suggestion because, like for Barcelona, that was a little bit unexpected. We weren't planning on going to Barcelona when we are. It wasn't in our travel plans for the year. It just kind of came up. And so we do have a good chunk of points that we're able to use for the hotels. And that was nice because we didn't have to really even second guess that. So
thanks for questions. We appreciate them coming in. It gives us something to talk to you about. So keep them coming.
Keep them coming.
Leilani's got all the answers.
No, I really don't. I have a few answers. That's really about it. Today I don't really have anything.
She's got, and if we don't know the answers, we'll look it up and figure it out.
That's true. I'm good at that.
Leilani had a bad weekend, so send her some love.
So anyway,
look, she's gonna be happy today though. Like, happy solar eclipse day.
Yay.
We're good. Okay, we love you, friends. We're gonna hit 8,000 followers today, so we want to say thank you.
And just a little tip: when we hit 10, we are going to do an awesome giveaway. So we're getting close.
That has a really good story behind it.
An awesome story. So
where I might have been partially dressed in a line on a cruise. Yeah.
Stay tuned. That's all I have to
we'll
say.
Tell you.
Get your friends to follow us because it'll be a good one. Good story, good giveaway.
My husband might have had no shirt on in the line on the cruise. It was awesome. Newlywed mistakes.
No
worries. I'll tell you later. Okay. We love you, friends. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
We'll see you next Monday.
Bye.